hey, you know paint way more than I do. I know how to paint. I don't know how to make paint. You do. So you tell me what you need to make the best paint possible, and I will do what I can to make that so with the resources that I have.
Keep it nerdy. Keep it nerdy. Keep it real nerdy. Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put their passion first. Let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.
Yeah, my nerdy passion basically is drawing.
Correct. I'm a breeder of tarantulas, importing tarantulas and some other critters.
I am a harpist. I do mainly Celtic harp, video game songs, songs from nerdy TV shows.
Obviously, I'm big on Star Trek.
It is creature design, fantastical biological creations out of watercolor.
We are dice retailers.
Nerdpreneur, you know I love my work. Life's a game, so I'ma take my turn. Nerds deserve to put their passion first, so let them rap a verse so they can all be heard.
Welcome to Nerdpreneur, where we have fun conversations with people making money with their nerdy passion. My name is Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Frank.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest. He is Dan Zehner from Bear Cavalry Paints. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, good to see you again. It was really good to see you over at PAX, and glad that we're getting able to reconnect today and talk about all things paint and nerddom.
100%, Dan. Great to have you on the show. And Dan, what is your nerdy passion?
Yeah, right now it's basically becoming the Patagonia of miniature wargaming, which we'll unpack that in a little bit, but that's it succinctly.
I want to unpack that right now. What is Patagonia? Okay, by Patagonia, you don't mean the place, you mean the brand.
I mean
right?
the brand. The place is wonderful, but I mean the brand. So Yvon Chouinard wrote an amazing book about what makes his company the thing that they are. So Patagonia, for those who aren't from the Pacific Northwest and see everybody wearing it around here, I'm actually surprised I'm not wearing. No, I am wearing some. I'm wearing Patagonia underneath. They are a outdoor gear company, everything from clothing to backpacks. But they started as a climbing company made by climbers, and throughout their whole history it's by people who use the things for real stuff, and they do the best that they can for the people using it, for the people making it, and for the planet. And so what I wanted to do when I started Bear Cavalry was do that, but for miniature wargaming, because I didn't see anybody else doing that. You look at the other companies in there, great as they are. I love Games Workshop, love Vallejo, Army Painter. They're full of wonderful people. But when I was looking around at the landscape of the hobby supplies that I've been buying for 20-something years, I'm like, nobody seems to care at all, at least publicly anyway, about the environment, about their customers, or about the people who make their stuff.
I would tend to agree with you on that one as a person who has personally dissed Wizards of the Coast with a 8-minute rap song. I think there are actually a lot of companies that you're talking about like that just don't really have the direct relationship that's necessary in the same way that a hobbyist like yourself might actually provide real value to their niche, you know?
Yeah.
You just mentioned good for the hobby, right? Good for the hobbyist, and then basically also good for the world. Could we kind of break those three down by that category? And you tell us a little bit about why are your paints safe? Let's start good for the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's got to work, right? You could be good for the planet and good for the people all you want, but if it sucks, it's not worthwhile. So my background is in mechanical engineering, and so for years it's like functionality has to come first. So when we were looking to develop our paints, and shout out to my man Tyler, who seemed to come out of nowhere, we're like, we have to be top of the industry out of the gate. The market is saturated, pun absolutely intended, with paint companies right now. And so if we're not beating AK and Monument Hobbies, we're losing. And proud to say that we're right up there with them. As good as AK is, as good as Monument Hobbies is, I love the way they operate. Pro Kill's fantastic. but we're right up there with them. Super highly pigmented. Our yellows cover black primer, which I did not think was possible.
That's incredible. By the way, I used to do Warhammer. So if you had to paint ultramarines, it was the nightmare because you always had yellow over top of blue or yellow over top of black. And it was almost impossible. And then you'd prime them white and the yellows still look like crap over top of it. And it was always this thing. So
I mean, shout out to my Imperial Fist players.
Yes.
Like, I was thinking about you because I'm a Blood Angels player. That was my second 40K army. I started out with catechins because I didn't like painting skin or eyes. So I was like, I'm just going to paint them all with camo. Then I don't have to. But my second army was Blood Angels. And this was back in 3rd edition when the GW formula was prime black, paint a crap load of layers on it, then do a wash and then a highlight.
Yeah.
To me, that meant prime black, slap on with a trowel, red paint, hope it covered, and then look and go, ugh. So when we were developing our paint, I was like, our red had damn well better cover over black or I'm going home.
Yeah.
And it does.
Right.
So
awesome.
First, it's got to function, right? And let me grab a bottle here. My handy little ammo can. Also, it's got to be fun, right? Like, I'm tired of chintzy little cardboard paint stand gimmicky pieces of junk. Army painter, I love you, but the Fanatic paint set with the paint rack in it frustrated the hell out of me. This is my answer to that. It's a literal army can, ammo can, with paint in it.
You will be the coolest person at the Games Workshop when you walk in with this, 100%. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what we've been developing. This is my test set, so it doesn't have labels on it. But the other thing I love about our bottles is this little nozzle, so you could just do a tiny drip on your wet palette, and that's all you need for most things. I've been using this set of 48 paints for 5 months now. I've painted more minis than I have ever, and I'm still not out of any color because I don't have to use as much. It's awesome.
Similar philosophy to weed. If it's stronger, you smoke less of it.
I kind of operate like making a fine whiskey. So my ancestry is partly Irish. If you don't know the history of how bourbon came to be, it was basically a bunch of Irish immigrants buying hilly land in the middle of Kentucky and trying to be corn farmers and failing miserably at it because they would bring it to market, no one would buy it, and then they'd have to schlep it back or give it away. So they're like, I wonder if we can make whiskey out of this corn stuff. Turns out you can. Then they would, relax and slowly meander into town with their barrels of fine whiskey in White Oak. And if someone didn't buy it, no worries. We'll just bring it back next year and charge twice as much for it. So that's how we are approaching our marketing for our paint. It's like, no worries if you don't want to buy it today. You're just going to pay more later. Not really, but that's kind of it's like we get it right. We spend the time to get it right and really craft it. And I'm not about paid ads or anything like that. It's like I'd rather hang out around a table with a pint or a cup of coffee or dram of whiskey or something and talk about our nerdy passions while we're painting our little toy soldiers. So that's thing one, is doing better for the hobby. And then my career has been like a pinball machine. I've been in everything from nuclear submarines to painting cars with robots to large diesel engines to scientific research in natural hazards and leadership coaching. I've seen a lot of terribly run organizations and some good ones. But when I formed a company, after my wife, who is way wiser than I am, suggested that I act on one of these wacky ideas that I tend to have, I was like, I want to run a company that I'm proud to be a part of and that everyone in it is proud to be a part of and feels like they are becoming the version of themselves that they were meant to be by being part of our company. Because that's what I feel companies should do. Like a CEO of a company, an owner of a company, your job number one, aside from, making profit so that you can serve people, is be the shit screen for everybody under your care. You are supposed to be the person who makes everyone under your care thrive. And not many companies do that. And I'm not perfect at it by any stretch. Tyler, you know this. But that's what I'm aiming to do. That's what I mean when I say take care of the people who make your stuff. And that comes from people who work directly for me. That comes from suppliers. That comes to distributors when we start working with those, to stores. Everywhere that I have say and influence, I want to do the best I can, or apologize when I fall short, because that's all the time, to help people thrive. And then the planet piece. Oh yeah, go ahead, Frank. You got a question there.
Well, yeah, I was just going to add on to what you just said before you move on to the planet piece. I have worked in a variety of odd jobs as well, and one of the ones that was really hard was in customer service related jobs, because you are trying to make the customer happy, but you also often have your managers that are crapping on you to do a better job without feeling the support. So what you're saying is great. Having a leadership that is supportive, I think, really goes a long way. Not only does it help you as an employee feel protected, but it also means that you can focus more on your role and your tasks.
Right.
So I think that's a great lesson for any leaders, that finding ways to empower and even protect, to an extent, your team and your people goes a long way. I wonder how much of that ties to not only your military training, but also your wargaming training.
Yeah. And to be clear, I did not serve in the military, although it kind of looks like it. But I
thought you said you did the other day. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I worked at a shipyard as an engineer, building submarines. Did not serve on them, but loved the Navy, and then worked for a retired Navy SEAL as a leadership coach, part of his team. So
that's what it was. It was the Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So those two experiences, one of my mentors at the shipyard, Ken Blumstead, he was the director of mechanical engineering at the Electric Boat Shipyard. He introduced me to a book called Turn the Ship Around by David Marquet, who is a retired submarine captain. And in that, his ethos he calls it intent-based leadership. It's bringing the authority to act upon information to where the information lives, and making sure that the people who are doing those actions have what they need to be competent at whatever they're supposed to be doing. So let's say you're a sonar operator on a submarine, right? You need to make sure that you've got a quiet environment, and that you know what all these contacts mean when you see blips and bloops on your screen, and that when you say, hey, there's a contact at bearing such and such, that someone will listen to you and act on that information. Or if you're one of the examples in his book was the kind of middle management on a submarine. They're the chiefs. Were when a sailor goes on leave, like when they fill out a form and say, I want to take off these days, it goes through their supervisor, through the chief, all the way up, and the captain has to sign it. And the captain's like, this is stupid. Why am I signing this? So he put the chiefs in charge of their own people's leave as a way to empower them and say, hey guys, this stops with you. You're kind of in charge of this anyway. You really should be. So that's my philosophy as well. I only have one employee right now, except for when my kids work for their Warhammer armies or stuffies. We pay the minimum wage, by the way. So, but with Tyler, it's like, hey, paint way more than I do. I know how to paint. I don't know how to make paint. You do. So you tell me what you need to make the best paint possible, and I will do what I can to make that so with the resources that I have.
Where are you guys made anyway?
Yeah, so we are in Eugene, Oregon, and we buy our base stock from a wonderful company called Forest Technical Coatings. They're a family-owned company, and they have won awards for their sustainable manufacturing. They are actually one of the first to recycle house paint in the world. So we buy untinted stock from them. And then Tyler does his formulation mojo with liquid pigment that we buy from Rada, another great Oregon company, and usually just mix it up in Tyler's garage and shoot it into our little bottles, and my kids and I label them. And our girls are the shipping department, so if you find a sticker in one of your boxes, that's why.
They like stickers, huh?
They sure do, yeah. And especially our middle daughter, she just loves drawing, and so she makes custom stickers with a little sticker machine and likes to put them in. And yeah, so family touch everywhere. So, I mean, a couple days ago, actually no, it was yesterday. Kids were off school, and so I took my son over to Tyler's garage for the afternoon, and we were mixing up mud texture paint, and he was filling bottles of rust technical paint, and I mean, so we made like 200 of these.
Whoa.
And I was just covered in gray grit. I'm surprised that I'm not still covered in it. Yeah. So that's this gets to the other thing that now that we've taken a very long detour, the planet piece. This bottle here is actually my proudest achievement so far in this whole endeavor. And I have Tyler to thank for a lot of it. This is mud texture paint, so if you're like me and like to paint tanks, you know what to do with this. But it is made largely with recycled paint. That's what's mostly in here. The aggregate is dried out paint that we chop up and blend in a blender. And then we mix in a little bit of sand and then coffee grounds from our favorite coffee shop, Cafe Picori, who we do events with sometimes. So it's almost all recycled material in this, except for a little bit of pigment to make it darker.
Wow.
Which is awesome.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I kind of wanted to learn how the paints are, good for the planet. I mean, you mentioned your mud, has various recycled components, because I definitely have some paints that separate naturally, and it gets really hard to mix them again, especially after 5 years and a couple of heat waves, So finding a use for them seems like a great thing. Could you touch on how the paints themselves, and we didn't really, for those listening that don't know what these paints are, acrylic based paints, typically used on, wargaming, but also all sorts of D&D and other tabletop games for painting minis. What is it about the acrylic paints that's also good for the planet?
Yeah, so I mean, by their nature, most acrylic paints are pretty good. They're water based, so there's no solvents or other weird shenanigans in there. Ours specifically, we have the manufacturing process at Forest. Our bottles are made by a company called Chubby Gorilla, who invest heavily in conservation efforts in the Congo, and they are recyclable. And we're working towards, when we get to a higher volume, incorporating an additive that will actually make them biodegradable. Which, if anybody really wants to nerd out on that, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to send you the test reports from the people up in Portland who designed that additive. So when we start using it, you'll know what I mean by biodegradable. It doesn't mean that it's going to melt on your shelf. It needs some, microbes and some heat and some other things. So anyway, so that's where we're going with that. And then our labels are industrially compostable as well. So we're trying to look at every piece of the product life cycle and every new iteration of it, do it a little bit better, so that from ground to grave, it is less impact on the environment than any other product out there. And we're not where we want to be yet, but we got a way forward. We've also talked with Forest about developing a plant-based acrylic resin rather than a petroleum-based resin. When we're at volume, we're going to be able to invest in that. We got some other secret squirrel things that we can't talk about yet, but there's some other really fun stuff coming.
It's really interesting that you bring that up. The challenge of getting to scale, the challenge of getting to the order of magnitude that you need in order to do some of these higher budget things. Because I remember one of the odd jobs I did, I worked at a grocery store that prioritized green and sustainability, and they always tried to do it, but it was so expensive just to get to-go containers for the cafeteria to be compostable or made of a corn that was industrially compostable. That's not easy. So I wanted to know more of that. I wanted you to speak more a bit about that for the folks that are looking to make maybe their product sustainable as well.
Yeah. So this is why I'm being very precise about my language because there's a lot of like buzzwords thrown around in this. So you'll see that we're shifting from calling things eco-friendly to sustainably minded. So it basically speaks to the fact that every decision we make, the sustainability aspect is a factor, but it may not be as sustainable as we want it. So, looking at our shipping supplies over here, I've started to stop using plastic packing tape because I realized, wait a minute, that's dumb. Right. So just today I went out and bought some bubble mailers that are post-consumer paper and post-consumer plastic bubble wrap. Like, that's an easy change for me to make. Same thing with our printing. We found a great local print shop who shares our core values, and they use sustainable inks, printing on recycled cardboard, other things like that. We're also, if we ever need cushioning like styrofoam, we've got a couple companies to tap for a mushroom mycelia styrofoam replacement.
Nice.
So just it's all about looking at, and this is like it's not a new thing in Europe. It's a very new thing in America. Because over here we just think, we got lots of land, we can just throw crap anywhere and no big deal. The Europeans have figured out that our resources on the planet are not unlimited if we want to sustain human life in the way that we like to live. So we better actually pay attention to this. And so for years, countries like Germany have actually had laws about this kind of thing where you have to look at the whole life cycle of the product from how you get it out of the ground to what happens when it goes back into the ground. And so that's what we're doing.
It's definitely one of the reasons that I think it's easier for companies to make products in America or in other countries that don't regulate as much as Europe. I totally agree. It's, do you have any advice for someone who's trying to, because, talking about the sustainability side, do you have any advice for somebody who doesn't know where to start when it comes to making their product more sustainable?
Yeah, I would do a couple things. One, find people who are smarter than you and learn from them. Ask good questions, but also just take some time and look at whatever your product is and break it down into its component pieces and the processes that are used to make that as far as you can, and go, okay, which one of these pieces or processes do I have control over that with the resources I have, I can make better for the planet? And go do that. And then do it again and again and again until it's where you want it.
Especially because, technology and science are constantly changing, and what was at one time, or what at one time did not have a, sustainable or biodegradable substitute, later on will. Like corn utensils. That was a new thing like 20, 15 years ago or so.
The other thing you can do too, and this is what we're doing, a few years down the line that we're starting these conversations, is talk to your local land grant university in the United States, because they are getting lots of government money to do research on this. And there's professors there who love doing their research but don't really want to start a company, who'd be happy to license technology to you.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
like Purdue University, I still have a day job, boiler up. I work very remotely for Purdue. They have a fantastic ecosystem for bringing Purdue intellectual property that's developed in their various laboratories and licensing it to companies or starting companies out of that ecosystem for professors who are interested in that. So we're talking to the Purdue Research Foundation about, hey, what are you guys doing in biodegradable packaging? What are you guys doing in sustainable plastic manufacturing? And there's some really cool research that's going on that we're talking to them about, of like, hey, when you're ready to commercialize this, if you find somebody bigger than us who can do it, we'll buy it from them. So
you might be thinking, damn, these paints sound awesome. I wonder how much they cost. Well, you can find that out by going to bearcavalrypaints.com. And Dan is such a cool guy that he wants Nerdpreneur listeners to get a special discount. So as long as you put in the code Nerdpreneur right at checkout, you're going to get an additional 10% off of whatever you purchase from Bear Cavalry Paints. Not only are they awesome paints, they also are better for the environment. And Dan is just a cool guy. So if you want some paints, go over to Bear Cavalry Paints and use the code Nerdpreneur to get 10% off your next order. Now let's get back to the episode.
So you make paints that are they more expensive to make because they're environmental?
They can't. So this is the reason we don't use the plant-based resin right now. I would love to. We found a great company that if you're a fine artist, got one around here somewhere. Our friends at Natural Earth Paint are phenomenal. And this is plant-based acrylic. Fully. They're made in Ashland, Oregon. They're great. But their resin is 3 times more expensive per milliliter than what we're using currently.
Wow.
So it's more expensive to be environmental. I'm curious about, for you guys, obviously your objective is to get to that place where you're heavily sustainable. And obviously I'm curious, like, where does that come from for you guys? Is it mostly you have that as a mission, and where, if so, does that come from? And 2, how much of that is a marketing choice? Because I think there's real power in marketing that way too, because there are people, a significant portion of society, maybe a less significant portion, that also paints war minis. But I think there's probably a significant portion that actually care about that when they buy stuff. So I'm just curious, how do you think about that when it comes to marketing?
It comes real deep for me personally, and it's just kind of come to the surface recently. Like, here we go. Got on my shelf here. This is my grandfather's Boy Scout handbook from 1940 something. 48. I'm an Eagle Scout. One of the 12 points of the Scout law is a Scout is clean. And a Scout is kind. A Scout is helpful, friendly, reverent. All these pieces, and there's a love for the outdoors built into the scouting program. So, like, from a young age, I've loved being outside when it's hiking, mountain biking, or skiing, whatever. I love the natural world, and over the past decade and a half or so, as I've gotten into my mid-30s, I've just seen people take a large dump all over it, literally and figuratively, and it's really weird to say that, all right, and so I'm going to start a miniature paint company. It's so weird, but I wanted to show people when we started this company that you don't have to be a Patagonia. You don't have to be a British Petroleum to change the world for parts of it that you care about and for communities that you care about. And so that was kind of how that started. It was we were in a game store as a family a couple years ago, and Tracy pointed out something cool on the shelf. It was like this flat pack D&D terrain. She's like, "This is really innovative. Why don't you do something like that? Like, you have good ideas. You should act on one." I was about to buy a wet palette because, of course, I need another one. I was like, "Why doesn't anyone make this out of recycled plastic? This is stupid. Like, it's easy to do. Why don't you do this?" And I'm like, well, I don't want to start a wet palette company because that just didn't seem like the right place for me to start. And so I was like, well, what about the paint? What can we do? So I found Natural Earth and emailed them and was like, hey, could you guys make this thinner and put it in dropper bottles, please and thank you? They're like, we got enough stuff going on, but we'd be happy to be a supplier for you if you want to start your own company. I was like, well, I guess I'm starting a paint company. So that's kind of how it started. It was just like, this love for the outdoors, trying to do my best to live by the principles of the Scout law, and had some time on my hands.
And so did you always paint miniatures? Is that always been like a big part of your nerdy life?
Oh, yeah. So, when I was like knee-high to a grasshopper, I started like building things out of cardboard with my mom and like painting up vehicles. And then I discovered model kits and built cars and planes and maybe blew up a couple of firecrackers. But then I still remember like a vague time period, like fourth or fifth grade or something. I was hanging out with a buddy in his basement, and he had an older brother who was into Warhammer, and it was like the second edition era of like the cardboard tiered like Necromunda Hive City thing with these figures with it was all green bases and flock. Back then I was like, what is this? Like, I'd seen historical miniatures before. Like, I picked up a book in the library and it's like, miniature wargaming. It's all about the British and the Cossacks. I'm like,
lots
okay,
of red coats. That's right.
Lots of red coats and guys in rank and file and, all that. Yeah. I was like, well, this is kind of cool, but then I saw Space Marines. I was like, ooh, these guys are cool. And then we moved to Illinois, and a neighbor of mine and I split the third edition box set of Warhammer 40K, and the rest was history.
That's the one I got too, I think. It was all
the Black Templars on the front.
Yeah, a whole bunch of Space Marines in the box with a bunch of, was it orcs too? Or no?
I think it was orcs, yeah.
Yeah, orcs, yeah, that's right. Man, if you played orcs back then, you played them because you loved them. They sucked so bad.
Yeah. They still kind of do, but like, who cares?
They were just cannon fodder. I mean, and I played Eldar, which we're going to go into the nerdy depths of Warhammer for a second. But I played Eldar, and it was so unfair because Eldar they had these things called swooping hawks that were basically like Vietnam, just boom, boom, dropping bombs on the entire battlefield. It was just insane. So, that's the wonderful thing about Warhammer. I guess it's changed to like what 10th or 11th
10th edition now.
10th edition.
Like. God. I honestly haven't played a game of 40K since 5th edition because until very recently, I've had a lot of animosity towards Games Workshop and how they seem to change their rules every 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working my way through that.
You're not alone. We've had a few people who have had on our podcast, actually. We had Discourse on our podcast who had many things to say about Games Workshop on YouTube and WotC and all these other companies. The big baddies of the nerd world, if you will.
Yeah, and I get it. And, I don't know any of the people who are higher ups at Games Workshop, but I've heard people who do.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are gamers like us. They just happen to also want to make money at it, and a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, they're
doing a great job at it. And they also have shareholders that have
and stuff, right? It's just how do they keep growing? How do they keep...
It's a great business model for them. But for my hobby, it has not always been great. So I think the peak of Warhammer 40K was 4th edition for me. Because it was like, Apocalypse had just come out. You could buy Bane Blades and field 3 of them in a game, and that was okay. And
so
I'm all about it.
Well, I definitely appreciate the love for Warhammer 40K. I don't do it much anymore. But I wanted to go back to, as far as the business side of this, for you, in your story, what made this a choice to really say, I got to take this and grow this? And, because starting a business is hard. So why do that? Why not just buy the paints and use sustainable paints?
So a couple of things. One, there weren't any out there other than Natural Earth, and they were great, but they have plant-based pigments, and so there's not a wide variety of the super vibrant colors that we like to use in wargaming paint. So that was it. Like, there are no sustainable miniature paint companies out there at all. That was thing one. Thing two, my day job, I'm a part-time appointee to this grant that I'm on. So I have one day a week to fiddle around with other things like consulting. And the company that I've been working for got sold and I got laid off. And so I had some extra time on my hands. And so I started a series of experiments. First was trying to write a book and a coaching program and then sell said coaching programs to people. And that did not work at all. And I basically ran my emotional tank into the ground. I spent a summer working with a really great Christian business and life coach that I met through that process, who, funnily enough, has a degree in engineering from Purdue and lives in Oregon too. Really weird. But through that, discovered a lot more about who I'm created to be as a person. And that involves a lot of artisanship and guiding people. and no matter what forum I get to play with that in, that's who I am. I like to make things. I like to bring people from where they are in the muck and mire and bring them up into the light and say, hey, let's have fun together. So then I had also been experimenting with some part-time work as a very inept Land Rover mechanic. Man, this is a long story, isn't it? I owned an old Land Rover Discovery once upon a time. And then through that, I mean, you always have to know a mechanic when you own a Land Rover. Met a shop in Springfield that specializes in classic Land Rovers. Like when I told them my 2002 one needed work, they're like, that's too new. Like, it's a 20-year-old truck. What do you mean it's too new? Well, we don't work on anything newer than 1983. What? So when I lost my consulting job, I was calling, a buddy of mine suggested, oh, you're kind of handy. Why don't you see if you can find a job at an automotive shop? And so I called these guys up, and they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So we played around with that for about a year, and it did not work out. So we were at the end of that, but I'd like reinvigorated my love for building things and doing stuff with my hands, and I'd started getting back into BattleTech again. I was like, okay, this all intersected in that one day in the game store with my family. And I was like, wow, nobody's doing the thing that I want done. And I've been painting minis for 20 years. I know a lot about the industry and what makes good paint, what doesn't. And I know a lot of the people in the industry and I'm good at making connections. And like this, I mean, I've tried starting other businesses before, but this is the first one where a lot of the hard stuff feels easy. Not that it's easy writ large, but a lot of the things like, market research and knowing your market and how to price things and source things, like, and who to talk to. That's the easy part for me because I've been doing that for 20 years.
So what have been some of the more challenging parts that you've, as you've got into this, realized you had to learn or up level in order to start selling this stuff?
Yeah, well, it's the selling it part because, spoiler alert, there's a lot of other paint companies out there, and there are some good ones. And so it's a pretty saturated market. So like differentiating and convincing people to part with their hard-earned dollars is a challenge. So we're investing in some technology pieces that when they come to fruition, we'll have to have another chat about, but they're not quite there yet. So we're working on that. But in the meantime, it's the sustainability part. It's the metal marketing. Like, I mean, our bottle artwork is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen the newest versions. It looks great.
Oh, it's so fun. Like, I want it, like, every time somebody picks up a bottle off the shelf, they like chuckle to themselves, or when a kid brings it home, their mom looks at them sideways like, what is that? Like, that is kind of missing in the world of miniature paints, aside from TurboDork, who's doing a great job with that. But like most miniature paint bottles, you look at it and you go, this looks like something a model railroader in his 80s would buy.
Mm-hmm. So
God bless them, by the way, but that's not the kind of stuff I want on my shelf.
They literally paved the way with tracks for you to come along and provide them with a updated and modernized version of the paint that appeals to wargamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the other thing too that I'm going to grab a bottle here because it's easier to visualize is like educating people what the hell is in their paint to a certain extent. I'm going to grab my orange because I went to the University of Illinois and I bleed orange. So we have these little check boxes, 12 of them. Mm-hmm. That says exactly what pigment is in your paint. No one else does that. It just says pigment somewhere on the ingredient list.
Why does that matter?
Yeah, we aren't paint nerds. So
yeah, so this matters. Brent from Goobertown Hobbies, you're welcome. Because not all oranges are equal. Not all reds are equal. Sometimes, let's say you're wanting to when you mix a blue and a red together, what does it make generally? No.
Make mud.
I knew it was a trick question, so
Yeah.
I slowly opened the door into the dungeon.
What happens if your blue happens to have some green pigment in it that you don't know about? You get
brown,
gray,
gray.
or brown.
Dang it.
Or something
I failed
else
again.
gross that is not purple. And for years and years, painters all over the place, myself included, go, all right, I don't have to buy 1,000 paints. I'm just going to get a red, I'm going to get a yellow, I'm going to get a blue and a white and a black, and I can make anything. And theoretically, that's true. But if the paint company is less than forthcoming about what's in there, you can get yourself painted into a corner real quick. So that's what we wanted to do. Pun intended. So, talking with high-end painters like Brent, he's more of a high-end chemist who's a passable painter. He would say that himself. And display painters who only use pure pigment paints for this reason. They just mix them themselves. I'm like, how can we flatten that learning curve? I'm an engineer. I like A plus B equals C formulas, even for artwork. So I was like, how can we make it easier for people to go, ooh, I see that heavy metal box art paint job, but I've never been able to actually get that because now I know Games Workshop painters don't even use their own damn paint.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah,
Not all of it. Like, you look at the box art for my beloved Deathcore of Krieg here. That is not all made by Citadel Paint.
Mm.
It just isn't. And so for years, I've struggled to, live up to the box art. And I'm like, oh, well, that's why, because they're not actually painting it like the box art.
So if you so let's take for a second an image of who is your ideal client, because I'm hearing a couple things. One is there are people that you're talking about that if they know paint, they know the pigment, they know the value of what you just said in terms of, some pigments don't mix properly unless they have the right pigments, knowing the background. Like, I could see the educated painter, the person who's already a high quality painter, becoming a big fan of this kind of art product. The other thing I could see is most of your clients would probably make that choice if they knew that, but they don't. Most people are like Frank and I, they just don't. Like, we're not paint nerds, so I just go buy whatever happens to be in the store.
Yep.
So what are you doing to overcome that?
Oh yeah. So we're doing the thing that, when you play Risk as a kid, you learn never to do, which is starting a land war in Asia on two fronts. We're kind of doing that, which, didn't turn out so well for Napoleon. But
start with Australia.
You start with Australia.
So you're invading Russia, but in your paint world, what does that mean right now?
Yeah. So for us, that means we have three fronts to fight. One of them is the consumer. We have to educate people. We have to get out there. People have to try our paint. They have to start loving our paint, and they have to start beating down the door of their local game store to say, where the hell do I get this? So that's job one. Job two is going to those local stores and saying, hey, would you like to carry this? Which I found out means we have to get into a distributor because that's who they actually buy from.
Yeah.
Most stores buy directly from distributors because instead of having to talk to 100 people like me, they talk to one person like ACD or Alliance or whoever, say, I want 10 of these, 20 of these, 30 of these, please and thank you. It'll be here on Tuesday.
Same in comic books and board games and all sorts of other things that we've interviewed. Getting into retail is not usually a good solution for people in your hobby market.
No, it's not. But the advantage of still having a day job and this thing not having to make my family's mortgage right now is I can be patient. Mm-hmm. I can outlast any of these other small paint companies who are cropping up and do it in a way that prioritizes the local community at each friendly local game store that we start stocking our paint in. Because nerds like us need that. So we need a place where we can go, after we drop our kid off at hockey practice, to find that one shade of paint that's going to make our army pop for the 4 hours that we get once a month to play 40K in the middle of everything else going on. And most stores don't have it. Like, you go in there and they're always out of black. Like, how the hell are you always out of black? Oh, well, because we get it from Vallejo and they only mix it once a year or twice a year. Like, what? So we want to, as we grow and scale and introduce products like ammo cans full of paint and other Secret Squirrel things that we're working on, and using my background as an engineer and a business coach, we want to help game stores thrive and be those sustainable, long-term places where you can go that aren't your home and aren't your place of work, that you can be with your people and do cool shit in real life and not on a screen. And we need those local game stores to have the best products possible to do that, so they can compete with Amazon, so they can compete with eBay, so they can compete with, whatever other online retailers there are. They need to have that draw of really attractive, high quality products at a good price. And that's what we do.
So I see the end game for you is to eventually have that positioning in the market to get to the point where, yes, you are in retail stores and everything like that. As it stands right now, people can just buy through the website, or if they directly kind of know you. Is that true? Or like, how do people get it?
Oh, we are very close to that not being the only way. So I'm just waiting on like the final paperwork and for money to hit the bank account. But we'll be stocked at Noble Knight Games very soon.
Cool. I don't know what that is.
Awesome. They are a very big, couple of locations store in Wisconsin, and they pride themselves on having one of everything. And family-owned business. They actually ended up buying a while back the warstore.com, which is something I used to buy bits from all the time. So yeah, they're fantastic. They really believe in the mission. They love what we're up to, and they bought into it. And so they're like, "Oh, we'll take a few of everything." I'm like, great. So pretty soon you'll be able to buy things on Noble Knight, as well as we're getting some racks in from our really great supporters and friends at Elric's Hobbies. They had some extra paint racks hanging around, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just send them to you. Just pay us in beer at Adepticon." Like, great. So we're getting our first racks in so that we'll be able to put it into to local stores here in Eugene. So we're starting to get into stores. I'm having some conversations with distributors, hoping one of them will take a chance on us, trying to be patient with it and just ride the wave.
Do you currently build up like a large stock? Like, do you have a stock of it, or is it sort of created on demand? Like, how does that work for you guys? Because I'm curious, like, let's just say you did a launch of a painting line. And if during this launch, how much could you actually sell? Like, or would you like if you needed, like your paint is pretty affordable. I'll just start with that because I think it is. It's very affordable for what it is as a high quality product. If you guys sell a lot of paint for a retail store to be excited about it, right? But if you were launching these in limited batches on your own, could you sell out of it in like, a week or two? Or something like that.
I mean, if we had like 100 orders, we could sell out of it. But the good thing is, all of our stock is local, and except for our bottles, which we can order in cases of 2,000 and get them within a week. So within a week, we could basically restock 2,000 bottles if we had to.
So if you had 2,000 bottle stocks, you would need how many, you get roughly 10 paints in one of your packages?
Yeah. So we've got a 10 paint pack right now. Yeah. We're scaling that up to, and those are only 10 mil bottles.
Yeah.
We're scaling that up to 20 mil bottles and doing a set of 50.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just thinking about for me, if I were in your situation, I'd be thinking about how many emails do you have currently?
That is one of those things if you do it differently, starting my email marketing skills are atrocious.
So I'm guessing you're not really doing anything to collect them right now, or is that part of your business model?
Not only am I not collecting them very well, I'm not emailing very often. So I've got 100 people on the email list, and I maybe send out an email once every 2 months. It's pretty bad. We're working on that.
No,
But
I was going to say, like, did you like because and that's okay. That's what a lot of people we talk to, they don't really focus on it. But just coming from my position in our where I work and my day job and what we do, there's a huge ability if you were to just take a focus on building up an email list with some really solid lead magnets. I bet you could launch
that really solid lead magnet piece is the long pole in the tent at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've got a few people who are stepping up to help make some tutorials, short tutorials that are going to be, printable or PDFs, so that those will be our lead magnets.
What
We're
would
working
be
on that.
Like a painting tutorial or something?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah. Like, here's how to get started. Here's how to use our base colors. Here's what's different about them, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or here's how to use mud. Super easy stuff.
What's a common? Let me ask you this: what's a very common paint? Like the thing you just mentioned to me, actually, to me is like your lead magnet. It's the fact I can't paint over my yellow over white, or I can't paint red over black. One of the things that I think that's probably a pretty common issue for people, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. I need to have one of our guys be like, "Hey, paint me an Imperial Fist primed in black."
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, if you had a solution that was around that, you could probably target that towards people as far as like a painting guide for how to make your yellows pop, for example, or how to make your whatever pop. And then inadvertently, like, you're getting people on a list that are clearly interested in popping paints. And from there, those people are the ones that are like your market. Those are the people that are going to be excited about it. And I don't know if you've ever done like launching before, but if you created like a sequence where you just really educated people on the process of your paints, you'd sell. I know you'd sell out. Like I think it would be pretty.
It's the age old, like, okay, I've got 13 plates in the air spinning. Yeah. Which one am I going to focus on? Still got the day job that I got to keep the lights on. Got to keep them happy. Married, 3 kids, husky that got to walk, kids playing hockey. I'm a bit of a masochist.
Well, you're talking to 2 people who have been on this podcast for almost a little over 2 years now. So we are patient. We both have day jobs. We get the grind. We get the grind as far as like, hey, we got to build this over time, and that you can outlast. That's the podcast game. We outlast all the other podcasts, and that's where it goes. But I'm curious, as far as you, like, how do you handle, like, you're balancing everything and, making sure you're really prioritizing what's important and when? Like, how do you process that right now?
I have a very good coach and I pray a lot. So I have a really good business coach who has a group coaching program. We meet 3 times a week in his group, and it's usually me and like 3 other people. So we get a lot of time together. And then we also do a one-on-one every couple of weeks. And so we go through, all right, what's hitting you in the face right now? Get you calm. Then we get clear. And then we get focus. And then we build momentum.
Yeah.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Oh, that's nice. I like that mantra. What was it again?
Calm, clarity, focus, momentum. Calm comes first.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to make sure your state is in one where you're ready to receive, right?
Yeah. So his name is Dan McPherson. Leaders Must Lead is his business. I can't say enough good things about him. We've been friends for years and have finally found a thing to work on together professionally. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic. So it's like really affordable. Coaching. Yeah, so business and leadership coaching. But what I like about him, not only does he have a wealth of experience, especially in the retail world, like he launched 40 stores in airports selling retail and was managing accounts of tens of millions of dollars. So he's got the experience to back it up, unlike many other coaches you may see out there with, shiny bleached smiles. But also he has this great intersection of recognizing that people are people and they have emotions and desires, and he calls it the heart-centered entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I really like that piece about how he brings his wisdom. And so we talk about that all the time. And the other piece is just being okay letting some fires burn for a little while, like the email marketing thing. It's like, it doesn't matter how many eyeballs I have on my product. If it's not a good product, then I don't have enough of it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
building that
agree. I
funnel.
think that's the whole. Well, that's why I asked the first question was like, how much could you sell? Because that's to me, if you have enough, if you have some product to sell, then it's like working toward.
If you're
building that
listening right
marketing
now,
campaign, it would be so exciting. You know,
if you're listening right now and go, I really like what Dan's doing. I've got some extra time on my hands, and I'm really good at email marketing, and I'm okay getting not paid for a little while or paid in equity or something. We could currently do 4,000 bottles a month. If we got a big enough order or some investment, like if somebody gave me 20 grand tomorrow, I would buy an automatic filling machine. I know exactly the one that I would do. I have 2 places to put it already, like with tentative agreements in place when we're ready to scale. And within another month and a half, we could be doing 20,000 bottles a month. We've already got the plans in place. We just need the capital and someone who's better at marketing than I am. Or for me to get better at marketing, one of the two.
Have you at all? I'm just curious because you sound like you've done a lot of research. You sound like you know your stuff. It sounds like you're really strapped on the cash side of things. And sure, Chris is hammering the point about like, if you make a good funnel, if you make the sales come, you can do more. And that's what he's talking about. And then you're saying the spinning plates. I get that. And it is a vicious, I'm not going to, it's a vicious cycle. But the thing is, like, if you did have like this cash, would you know where to put it? Because
100%.
Sometimes nerdpreneurs or just entrepreneurs in general, it's like they get cash and they're like, what do I do? I think I'll go celebrate.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, 100%, I'm going to buy some good whiskey or, another artillery piece for my Krieg army. Sure. But I'm not going to go buy a Lamborghini. You
got a lot of paint to buy a Lamborghini, though.
It's a lot of paint to buy a Lamborghini.
And then what are you going to paint it with?
Eventually, I do want to buy a diesel Land Rover as a delivery vehicle.
Still Land Rovers.
Here's a
I know, I can't get away from it. But anyway,
here's a cool marketing idea. Just an idea. But could you convince an influencer to paint a Ferrari or something like that with your paint? Just because, one, I think people would watch that.
Heck yes, they would.
Right? Like some influencer out there who's doing stupid, crazy stuff, like in
I'm
the
gonna send
vein
some
of
to Mr. Beast or something.
Yeah. In the vein of Mr. Beast. But like, hey, we'll provide all the paint to be able to paint whatever you want, and then get partnered up with like a super like, I don't know, pay a really professional painter to do something cool with it, and then all of a sudden it's like, we're gonna paint a Lamborghini. I'd click on that, and all of a sudden Bear Cavalry is in there. I don't know.
If you're listening and have a Lamborghini that needs painting, boy, do I have a deal for you.
Man, that'd be funny. Maybe we start off. Maybe it's like you start off with something smaller and cheaper, but you work up to a Lamborghini.
You got a Honda Civic.
Yeah, we're gonna paint a Honda Civic today. It'd be funny. Like, I just imagine like imagine you partner up with you go to these like nerdy painting people that are all like professionals, whatever. But then like, hey, how would you feel about painting a car with something cool for a nerd? And, maybe there's some sort of thing you make it. I don't know. You make it into a video.
I could see a Land Rover being painted Space Marines,
that'd be
fun.
Yeah. Like a drop ship of sorts.
Well, I mean, the funny thing, you have Land Raiders. That's why they're called Land Raiders.
Easy. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Man, that'd be fun. I just I'm like thinking of fun ideas with paint now, with for people to tune in and get to know Bear Cavalry.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
I'm constantly blown away by the positive feedback we get about our interviews, especially when you guys tell us how much you love the full-length versions. If you're getting a lot out of this show and want to support what we do, please check out our Patreon. You'll get access to ad-free, full-length episodes, plus some other really cool bonus content. So head over to patreon.com/nerdpreneur and join the
awesome Nerdpreneur board.
Now, back to the episode.
But I figure we can go ahead and just jump into the next stage of things.
Sure.
The random rolls. So,
excellent.
Yes, This is a little less serious, more fun, and you'll go ahead and roll on a D100, and depending on what you roll.
Excellent. So I have some special dice for this from, sadly, a company that no longer exists, but these are Yellow Heart dice gifted to me by some good friends at Dogmite Games, who sadly don't exist anymore. But yeah, when you meet me at Adepticon, I will tell you the Dogmite story. I'm not going to record it, though. But yeah, I have nothing but love and respect for all the team who are over there and everybody who's involved with that. Anyway, so let's roll these guys.
Wonderful.
93.
93. What Lego set should they make?
Oh, dang. Well, they already made one of my favorites, which I have over there. It's actually the Defender D90. Of course, it's a Land Rover. What should they... I mean, they should make a Baneblade. Like, they should make... Or a Timberwolf.
Yeah, get some BattleTech in there.
We need some BattleTech. I mean, there are some people who, like, figure out those and put plans out, but, like, they need an official... Or BattleTech Atlas, something like that.
Yeah.
We need that. I would buy that tomorrow.
I have a feeling BattleTech is one of those things. There's just not a big enough following yet for Lego to go like, the numbers.
I know, like it's so amazing that there's not a BattleTech movie. I mean, put your pitchforks down. I know why there isn't, because it's a very complex universe that's hard to get into. But holy cow, there's so many stories you could tell, and like big stompy robot tanks shooting missiles everywhere. Like, come on.
I know,
but there's a lot of reasons why, and some of them are valid. But anyway, I think there needs to be one, and then Lego would go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So BattleTech or the
the Baneblade, the giant Imperial Guard tank, which I finally got one after so many years of playing Imperial Guard, and it's actually at my photographer's house getting a photo shoot right now, so I can show you.
So it's busy in the other trailer being a model. Got it.
Yes, yeah, it's being a model in a different sense. Yeah.
Yep. Well, go ahead and roll one more, please.
All right.
We'll do a few of these.
Got to blow on them for good luck. 28.
All right. So if you are given the opportunity to make a deal with the devil, what would you be asking the devil for?
Ooh, not a golden fiddle. I would make a deal for his soul.
That's interesting. I always consider that the devil doesn't have one.
This is going to be really weird and like possibly heretical. But I've had a thought noodling around that is probably heretical and highly inaccurate. But from what I have experienced of how God works. So back in the primordial ooze, spiritually speaking, the devil rebelled against God. But before that, he was his favored son.
Mm-hmm.
I think God wants him back.
God wants the devil back up in heaven?
Like, with him. Anyway, long, story best told over some whiskey. But, yeah, there's nothing that I would sell my soul to the devil for. Let's put it that way.
I see. Got it. Yeah. I mean, because you're a religious man. So this seems like a very apt question to have stumbled upon. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, if I'm right on this, which I probably am not, God's mission is always to redeem people. I wonder if part of that mission is to redeem Satan himself.
Yeah, that is
really weird thought. Quest. Way out there. Probably heretical. You could put your pitchforks down. But yeah, well, if that's his mission, I want to partner with him in his mission in any way that I can. So if I were given that opportunity, and if that is his mission, that's what I would do.
Nice. Well, now we're going to go ahead and move on to rapid fire. This is where we ask you the quick and silly questions, and you tell us what your answers are, and we'll tell you whether you're right or wrong. So first up, I always have to ask, Star Trek or Star Wars? Which camp are you in?
Mostly Star Wars, although recently I have been appreciating the philosophy of Star Trek a bit more, but generally Star Wars. I'm actually listening to the audiobooks of the old X-Wing novels with my son as we're going schlepping him around to hockey tournaments all over the place, and it's lovely.
Nice.
Yoda or Obi-Wan?
Ooh. All right, I'm going with my gut answer is Yoda. I don't entirely know why, but Yoda.
Good answer.
In a word picture of 5 words or less, what does a cool nerd look like?
What does a cool nerd look like?
Paint in all those minis. No.
Let's see. Confident in their true self.
Nice.
3 favorite pizza toppings.
Yes.
Anything, even anchovies?
Just, yeah. Meat, and meat.
Yes, the meat lover.
Any meat product on a pizza, I'm in.
Okay.
It's very un-Portland of you, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Or locally foraged morel mushrooms that I got myself, which I did last spring. It was amazing.
Which is basically the most Portland thing you could put on a
Pretty
pizza.
much.
But that's there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chris is happy now.
Yeah. Which, if you are not busy in late April and would like to forage for mushrooms, you are cordially invited to Mushroom Man Camp, where we'll go into some forest fire burned areas and grab some morels, hopefully.
Nice. Zombie apocalypse weapon of choice.
Chainsaw.
How many cats is too many cats?
We've actually had this discussion in our household before. 3. Three is the maximum number of cats before you become a crazy cat person.
So did you win that battle or lose that battle?
We all won it.
Okay.
We got up to 3 cats, and then we realized that was plenty.
Okay, good. It wasn't
And
someone
then-
wanting 5 cats, and you're like, we don't want to be crazy people.
Yeah, we went down that road, and no. So, but then we went crazy and drove for 8.5 days and camped with said 3 cats and 3 kids when we were moving from Indiana to Oregon.
I don't know how you camp with cats.
Yeah,
I would not recommend
Were you trying to get rid of some of them?
No.
It's a great way to get rid of cats, actually. I'm thinking
It is a great way to get rid of
You're
cats.
like, hey, we'll just go camping. Bring the cats.
Yeah, we were thinking one of them was going to get eaten by a cougar or something, but
That's what
no.
I think.
We had a trailer that we would have all of our camping gear in during the day, and the cats would be in their carriers with us in the car, drugged as we drove. And then we would get all of our camping gear out of the trailer, set it up, put a cage for the female cat, her litter box, her food, her water, put her in the trailer. Then the male cats had their thing, food, litter, all that stuff outside so that they wouldn't fight all night.
Wow.
And then we'd pack it all up in the morning, put a pill in them, and get on the road again for another 7 hours. Ugh.
So it sounds like you won't be doing that again.
No. I keep telling her, so my wife's going to grad school at the University of Oregon. I'm like, if someone is not paying you an obscene amount of money to live somewhere else, we are staying here, even if we die in the poorhouse. I do not want to move again.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's no fun. But so speaking of dangerous jobs regarding the cat stuff, what is the most dangerous job in your opinion?
That I've ever had, or just out there?
That just exists.
Yeah. Aside from motherhood, I watched Deadliest Catch a lot in college, so I gotta say, like, crab fishermen. Like, good Lord, there's a high mortality rate for that profession.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, crab fisherman's ridiculously dangerous. Yes. So many people. I mean, that's one of those shows where like grown men cry. It's very, it's an intense season or two. I'll tell you that. But king crab tastes amazing, guys.
It's so good.
I don't know if you know how delicious it is. You can taste the death. No. I mean,
Yeah, right, yeah. You can taste
taste
the poor
the
sailor
sacrifice.
souls. Yeah, absolutely.
it's all seasoned with sadness.
It's a good tagline.
It is salty.
Yeah.
Last question I would ask If you could visit, I maybe know the answer to this one. If you could visit any fictional world, where would it be?
Oh, dang, there's so many good ones. It would not be Armageddon. I don't think I'd visit anywhere in the 40K universe because I would just die instantly. Part of me wants to say the Shire because you can actually go to New Zealand. Man, yeah, that's as far as my mind is allowing me to go. Yeah, the Shire. It's got everything that I want. Got good people, lots of beer, good pipes, good music.
It's idyllic.
It's idyllic. There's no air pollution nonsense. Until later in the series, but
they got a great sense of a community too.
Great sense of community. Yeah, that's as good as any. I'll probably come up with another one in about half an hour and go, damn, I wish I would have done that. But for now, the Shire works.
I think the Shire would be on my list of places to go, especially if, I've always thought weed tourism would be an interesting niche, and the Shire should be on that, So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There actually is a company, I think they're in South Carolina or something. They make a Lord of the Rings series of pipe tobacco, and it's great. They have a long bottom leaf.
Actually. I bought a Shire pipe from a place called Shire Pipes. Actually, in my local dispensary, they had Shire pipes that they were selling, and I'm like, "This is
so."
I'm the exact person this was made for. They only
I
have
did the
3
same.
of them.
I did the same. I bought the Aragorn one, and it is made by some company in China that doesn't know how to make pipes, and the glue melts when you use it to smoke tobacco. So I am still on the hunt,
for a good one.
You said earlier, what would you do if you made $100,000 at this and celebrate? I would get a Churchwarden pipe from Peterson Pipes in Ireland and do it proper.
Nice. So fear the AI or embrace the AI?
This is a very recent thing for me. So both in measured ways. Let me explain. I think AI is going to be the death of us as a human species. We're literally seeing that happen right now in both of our great nations. We won't go any further into that because we don't need anybody thinking about politics on this podcast because this is a safe place. And it is a tool like anything else, used for its intended purpose of gathering written information from the interwebs and conglomerating it together towards a given goal. If you use it towards that, it can be a good tool. So I actually created a GPT I call the Wiz Domain, where I said, hey, here's who I am and what I'm about. I'm a dude. I'm married. Got kids. I want to partner with God in the bringing of beauty, life, and order, and union with Him. This is what I want out of life. Now, grab all these people from history and from current wisdom. John Eldridge, Tim Ferriss. Everybody's been on his podcast. Go grab Socrates and Marcus Aurelius, Teddy Roosevelt. Stick them in a room and have them debate about who else should be in that room to counter their biases. And then let me ask them questions. It's been fascinating.
That is really interesting, to give yourself as balanced of a council of advisors as possible.
Yeah, I've uploaded my business plan to that, and, launch plan for products and all sorts of stuff, and go, the mud came out of that. Whoa. It was you should be using more recycled materials and reusable containers. I'm like, holy crap, yeah, we should. I think AI art should only be used as a sketching and brainstorming tool to then pay a real artist to finish.
I think AI art is, it's a real touchy subject for the artist, and we've been talking to a lot of them lately. It's interesting. I mean, I see it from a music perspective too. As far as making music, it can be very useful to help generate words or ideas or metaphors and things like that. But then picking and choosing what to use and piecing it together is still the artist's job. So
yeah.
This has been awesome, Dan. Really awesome to chat with you and to really dig in on your business and to meet you right in the middle of this journey that you're on to becoming this full-time nerdpreneur, which I'm assuming is your main goal here. So we like to finish our podcast by asking if you have any advice for other aspiring nerdpreneurs that might be listening to this and considering making the leap into their nerdy passion. What would you say to them?
I'm going to say something that's going to be slightly unpopular, is don't quit your day job too soon. And don't be ashamed of that. Like, my day job is fundraising. That's what it's for. I've got a wonderful boss who is giving me a flexible schedule, and it's mostly boring, and that's fine because it allows me the headspace, and I can use my mastery and skills there to provide the value. And then I've got time and resources to do the thing that I really love without jeopardizing the things that are most important, which is the relationship with God, with myself, with my wife, with my kids. Like a lot of other entrepreneurs I've seen detonate their lives in pursuit of their dreams. Don't do that.
Love that. And I think that's something we see with so many of the nerdpreneurs we've interviewed. It's rarely the case that they burn the boats. And some of the best advice we've heard from many artists is taking the time to build this thing while also supporting yourself with other jobs and things that give you the flexibility to be successful as an artist. And so I think that's great advice for people to heed when they consider jumping into this, because it is possible to build it over time. And I wanted to say, where can people find you, buy some paints, or support you wherever you're going to be next?
Yeah, so the best place, first place would be our website, bearcavalrypaints.com. So bear as in the fuzzy animal, cavalry, the military unit, not the hill where the cross of Christ is. I've gotten a lot of confusion on both of those words. So, my branding is, it's made by an engineer. Anyway, so bearcavalrypaints.com. I'm pretty active on Instagram as well. And then I'm starting to be active on Blue Sky because all of the reasons that people are active on Blue Sky.
We're getting started there too.
Community. Yeah. And then you'll soon be able to see us in Noble Knights. So check them out. And if you do go to our website and you're listening to this, we do have a promo code up there for Nerdpreneur. It's Nerdpreneur, 10% off. As long as it's up there, it's going to be quite a long time. So love to support you guys and your listeners and reward you. If you've listened for this long to me spouting off about all this stuff, like the least I could do is give you 10% off some awesome paint.
Yeah, go check that stuff out. They're awesome paints. Can't say enough about it. And also about you. You're just awesome, and we really appreciate you being on the pod and talking and sharing your story. We'd love to check back in with you as you build this thing to the next level and hear all about those next level lessons.
Before I forget, while you're there, on our website, there's a page called Allies, and we're constantly updating that with people that I believe in, from suppliers to other creators. But also sustainability initiatives that eventually we want to invest capital into. But right now we're just building relationships. One of them is Oregon Wild. They are a nonprofit organization that is committed to protecting the wild spaces in my home state of Oregon. Old growth forests, beautiful coastlines, mountain grandeur, protected species, all these things that in our crazy world are ever more at risk from people both with good and bad intentions. And so they're doing a great job. We're looking to partner with them and other people like them more in the future. But for now, you'll be able to see as we grow and as we build these relationships, folks like Oregon Wild at our Allies page, Bear Cavalry Paints /Allies.
Well, Nerdpreneurs, thanks a lot for listening and tuning in. And as always,
keep it nerdy.